Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast, where we explore how technology impacts, improves, and enables the customer experience that we all expect from businesses and organizations that we engage or work with. Don't worry, we only keep it to 20 minutes, so hopefully you'll find it interesting. Thanks very much.
Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast with me, Gavin.
And me, Steve. How you doing this morning, Gavin? You all right?
Yeah, good. A bit of a change of pace for us this one, so I'm interested to see how it pans out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see what gives. We're going to talk about GPT's new, or OpenAI's new ChatGPT builder, so you can build your own GPT. Literally came out a couple of days ago. It was released at the end of last week. So as we're recording, we're on the 13th today. It was just before the weekend, so we've been playing with it over the weekend and having a little look and seeing what they've released. And I've made a few bots. How did you get on?
Yeah, all right. I've been doing a little bit of research in regards to the sort of like looking back at the launch when they made the announcement, and yeah, trying to build some stuff. I've been trying to replicate. I've been trying to see if I can replicate some of the stuff that I was building off it beforehand. So I've been playing around with actually building tools using OpenAI's backend, and I was seeing if I could get the bots to do that for me, rather like do those elements or do that functionality. I've found some limitations in that, but also been looking at how my team have been using ChatGPT and seeing if rather than them having to send in multiple prompts to get something done, actually building a GPT for them to be able to do that. So it basically sends. So one of the things we've been looking at is, so we use it a lot for kind of marketing help, basically, or marketing support for a blog post, for example. So one of the things we might do is one of our team write a blog post and it's like, can we get it to create a short summary, or can it suggest some potential titles, or can it create some hashtags for different social media platforms in order to make it easier, or can we break it into a series of tweets to then share that blog post in a slightly different way? So rather than having us send in, oh, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And doing it as individual prompts, instead they can select the our marketing agent and say, here is the article. Can you kind of help me out, make it ready to share on social media, and it'll automatically give you a summary. It'll automatically give you some suggested titles. It'll automatically give you the hashtags you need to share, and potentially even some share snippets. So in one fair sweep, it goes through that whole process and automatically gives you those things to be able to get started. So rather than having to kind of remember the different things in the way that you prompt it, it kind of does it all for you.
Yeah, because it's a pre-learned model, so it kind of understands what output it wants to provide you. Yeah. So you've already pre-prompted it without having to take it cold down all the different conversations to get out what you wanted to get out.
That is the beauty of it. So if you've got, for example, if you as an organization, say you've got your own brand language, so you might be professional, you might be a little bit humorous, you can kind of add all those elements in to your kind of your agent, and then they could basically create content in your brand. So some extent create some elements of content in your brand voice. I really wouldn't recommend it for long form content, but just give you some ideas, all in that kind of, to some extent in that brand voice, just kind of save you some of that time. But I think it's a case of, I always think with these elements, it's using it as a guide, using it as a support, potentially using it as an editor, rather than using it to like just create large chunks of content,
especially in a creative space. I suppose that's the key. I suppose really we should start from the beginning, because you've dived into, I built this one.
I know, I'm getting excited. I'm like, use cases.
Look at it, it's brilliant. Right, so for those that don't know where it is and what it is, number one, it's available for Chat Plus and Chat Enterprise only, so you have to pay for the ChatGPT account. So if you've got a free account, you won't be able to see any of this stuff. And if you're then looking for it and you're in your ChatGPT, top left, there's a little button that says Explore. And in there, it gives you loads of little bots that kind of they've spun up in the community and stuff like that, and they're there at the moment that you can kind of use. So there's a mocktail mixology one and stuff like that, you know. So there's a few very, very useful ones, you know, and quite a range actually, and all sorts of stuff. But in there at the top of the tree, right at the top, it says create your own My GPT. So it's a My GPT is what you're kind of creating, and that is where you start. And it's very straightforward to start this. Now, the power of this is that this is, and I think you kind of touched on it on your model, is it seems to be at the moment very much a it's you can make it public facing and make it open to everybody, but then distribute it through your channels and all that type of stuff that doesn't seem to be the facility this second and at this moment in time. But it does have the ability to build loads of internals. So if you've got a shared account, then you can all log into the same thing and look at your stuff. You can make it public within GPT, but whether you'd want to go there or not is a different matter. You know, that would be a bit awkward if you're trying to support a journey. But what it does do very, very well is it builds it out without too much expertise. Unless you want to integrate into your business, then that's going to be a little bit more tricky. You know, there's API stuff to deal with and things like that. So, you know, you have to tell it what your data is and things like that. So a bit like you were mentioning before, the way that you'd start off is you start thinking about what it's going to do and pre-prompt it. So you just keep telling it what to do and it updates its models. Says, when I ask you for this, then you must give me this. And when I ask you for this, give me this, you know, all that type of stuff. And all that works really well. And it's all the natural language. It seems to get everything that you want it to do without it being too mad. And also understands data pretty well. So I threw data at it. I didn't tell it what it was. I wanted to see what it was like without giving it a data dictionary and all the bits that you would kind of more formally give it. And managed to grab a load of marine data actually from Plymouth Marine Labs that they put up. So it's from the universities, like public data, and it was marine species survey, big zipped data file. It was a blitz survey, so they did it on a day around, I think it was around the Yelm, so kind of down in Devon, and they've done a few. And what I was looking at was going, okay, what information could it come out of there? I didn't even look at the data, so I thought, okay, I'm going to go in totally cold here. I'm going to just chuck it up and see what's in there. Not going to open the files. Not even going to open the files. I'm going to go completely blind, see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah? I know. So I had an idea because I got an idea what the data was. You know, so it said, oh, we've done a survey of species and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, all right, well, that's interesting. Let's see what it's got then. And all that type of stuff. And I chuck it up into my Marine Explorer bot, which is what it named it. It made a logo for it and all that type of stuff, which it does, which was quite cool. It made a horrible logo to start off with, and I asked it to make a better one. It did better.
Do a better job. At least it's not going to be offended.
It's awful. Don't do that again. So it's something better with a little instruction. But so I ended up with my Marine Explorer one, and basically what I've done is chuck that up. Didn't know what the data was in there, apart from the summary for where I got the open source data from. And then I kind of asked it a load of questions like, well, okay, what are the most common species that were found? And it gave me stuff back, which was like Xantho hydrophilus was recorded 18 times. Actinia equina was recorded 17 times. And
Could you ask it
okay,
to send pictures in? So if you're just like,
right,
I have
well,
no idea what this thing is,
I have
like
no idea.
show me some pictures.
Well, do you know
So
what?
I
I
mean,
actually have it
for,
open in front of me.
for reading a book, it's better with pictures in.
Better with pictures. Well, I said after that, because I went, oh, I don't know what they are. Yeah, exactly like that. And I went, okay, can you give me the common names of the species, please? So apparently, a Xanthohydrophilus is a yellow crab.
There you go. Like instantly better.
But of course, I was just getting, because what it's done then, of course, which is great for this example and what to do, is I literally threw up a load of files. So you can add your data. So there's data sets you can add.
Yeah.
Threw the files up, and it went and got a load of. It ingested them. I tried to do a couple more different ones, just threw them all up again. It kind of didn't like the multiple data sets because the correlation between them was hard, and
Yeah.
it had a bit of a fail. And I'm not sure whether it was their side or the stuff I was chucking up. So it was a non-specific error. So it was like all right, give us a clue. Why are you erroring? And I'm not sure there's a limit to it or something. But anyway, so I backed out and didn't save it and stayed with my single data set for now. But it basically got all the data there and understood it, and it categorized it, which was really interesting. So it got the semantics of what that is about, the kind of context of it. And I thought, well, that's very easy and that's very straightforward. So I did the same with a conversation data. So because we do chatbots, and so I thought, well, okay, let's analyze a month's worth of conversation data, and that was interesting. Again, trying to get it to bring back certain bits, what's the most popular subject and things like that. And those things, some of it struggled with because it wouldn't get context from a load of messages. It wanted the full flow conversation. And that's not how the report came out that I had data for that I wanted to grab. So it's kind of trying to get that stuff. So it's still important that you have the right data in there, but it's pretty good at getting that together without you having to teach it too much, And if you tell
Which is
it
the
what
important
data
thing,
you're
isn't it?
putting up.
Then that was one thing I was quite impressed with, was what they hadn't done is just said build a GPT and giving you, like, build your own bot and giving you a space to put a title or a description and to write your prompt in. Like, you can
Yeah,
do that if you want to. You can go in
yeah,
and go, actually, if you know exactly what you want, you can go in and write your prompt as to what you want. Like, you can set it up, tell it what it is, and ask what you
yeah,
want to do. The beauty of what they've done is also they've given you the ability to use ChatGPT to create your GPT, and I found that was quite interesting. Is the fact that you can literally go and say, "What I want to do is create something that does X, Y, and Z,"
yeah,
and you can tell it what you want it to be, which to me is
yeah,
quite the fact that they're utilizing their own platform to do that. So those people who haven't got experience creating prompts, you basically
yeah,
ask it to prompt for itself.
yeah,
Um, and you could potentially do the same thing by inputting your own data. If you're like, I'm not really sure how to phrase this in regards to how this data could be analyzed, you basically say,
yeah,
look, you're going to be a data. I'm going to give you a file as a knowledge base. You're going to be my researcher analyst. You could potentially even add like a marketing comms person in there who's going to be. You could even probably spin it on its head and go, you're going to be a marketing comms specialist who's targeting preschool children or targeting
yeah,
secondary school children. And
yeah,
then you could use that as a school teacher could then utilize that to be able to query the data in a way that's going to be understandable. So you wouldn't even need to go in and be like, give me the common names for it. It would be as simple as kids would be able to query the data by asking questions,
yeah.
and it would know, okay, these are going to be school children, and I need to do it I need to be able to do it in a certain way. And that's quite powerful, really, if you think you can give researchers and people the ability to be able to give anybody of any knowledge base the ability to understand the research that's been done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also um, what you're basically doing is you're shortcutting everything that you'd normally have to do in a GPT area. So a lot of the GPT stuff that you've had to do, like you said at the top, was, you know, you'd have to ask it a lot of questions. Go, can you do an article about this and that type of stuff? Oh, and can you give me snippets for this? Can you do that for me? Can you maybe create an image to go along with the article? Whatever all the bits that you kind of need for a bit of distribution and stuff. But you'd have to ask all those questions. That takes time in its own right. And the idea is that it's a time saver to give you your base of content that you can kind of snip up, which is quite good. I mean, again, creative area, you've got to be a bit careful because it can sound a bit flat. And I find that GPT's creative stuff's a bit flat and formal. Or actually, formal subject, I think it's probably fine, you know. But again, that's pretty tricky.
You could probably prompt it with some like tips on how to do comedy, you know. So use this,
and it
use this
does
as
it better,
your basis,
you know,
for how you're going to talk to me.
There's loads of stuff it does, and that annoys me, which is because it's very US centric. It does all the US stuff, or of course, you know, it does without it being UK language and things like that. And those things are irritating, but you can tell it not to, and then it corrects all its spellings for you. But which is, you know, it helps. But also what I've found is that you can actually, in this new one as well, which is which I hadn't noticed we can do in the general GPTs, you can upload files to it. Which means that I did yet another one, again, playing I was, which was a medical one. Yeah, so a diagnosis tool. Just using that, no data, because I needed generic data. I hadn't got any data for it. I haven't got access to medical diagnosis data. But of course, if it had it, it'd be, you know, pretty amazing. But what I still did, because it's got common language, common internet knowledge base, is I stuck an image up of a.
I don't really want to know.
Not yeah. So, I'm not saying
what
anything.
is this rash?
I got an image. It's not getting any better because I got an internet image off the internet about of a rash. All right, that was what I got. Okay, and said, "I've got this. What's my problem?" Yeah, and it recognised recognized it. You know, so I got something specific that I thought, okay, I know what this is. It's more like the controlled source. This is like psoriasis. What would it do? And they went and got it and did it and said, yeah, and what treatment's going to do for it and things like that. And it came back with lots of suggestions which were relevant and correct from my little knowledge that I know about it. You know,
so that's interesting. So that's
amazing.
That's no input data at all. That's just using the knowledge base that it already had, utilizing its own image recognition and its ability to be able to search utilizing that data pool. That's interesting. I would probably recommend to people they don't start uploading images of themselves or body parts, because bear in mind that
no, I didn't do any of those things. Yeah, so yeah,
they do use it for training, don't they? So training the model.
That's all I was doing. I was just doing it for that, you know. But yeah, it's really interesting because it's that collaborative tool which you were talking about. But this could be a collaborative tool for, you know, somebody's got this. Can you help them? You know, or a bit of a self-help thing or something like that. Again, trying to make this public is the trick. I mean, GPT does that pretty well anyway. But I was trying different layers, you know, so a bit of data, bit of this, bit of that, see how it works, and it was pretty good, you know. And it's a good catalyst for ideas, what you want to do, you know.
It's interesting. I haven't tried sharing any of the GPTs externally yet to see kind of how that's handled by people who don't have a Plus account. And whether it works or not, I think it's something that would be good to kind of experiment with and test. But it's just because I think it opens up some new opportunities, really, doesn't it? So I think so. It basically asks you to sign up to chat. So it's another lead gen opportunity, I guess, for ChatGPT for OpenAI, isn't it? In regards to you create the ability to be able to create these GPTs. and then you allow users to be able to share them with their audience, which then in itself forces people to then sign up, create an account so they can get access to them. So that in itself creates a new, not that they needed a way of necessarily generating a user base, but it gives them a new way of generating user base. Another thing it does from an entrepreneurship or an opportunity piece, from a community building piece as well, with the ability to be able to have private, public with link or public to the store, is what it does. Those people who at the moment are designing and building prompts and trying to share them as text blocks or whatever, it gives them the ability to be able to, they could basically create their own gallery of GPT bots to share. But if they're looking to build a community and give access and say, follow me because I'm always creating these amazing tools, it gives them a mechanism for kind of creating that sort of richer content and interactive content to then share as well. So it's a really interesting kind of new model. So almost going away from the fact that this AI piece, it creates a whole new model for content creators to be able to drive people in. And also, if they drive people in, people sign up, become paid members, utilize the bots because they're paying the members, it's then that revenue generator as well for those businesses.
Yeah, very much so. So I was having a little look at this just while you were talking about the MediGuide one I did.
Yeah.
And currently the share requires you to have GPT plus.
Okay. So anyone who's utilizing the tools have to be able to sign in and have a paid account.
So you have to sign up to do it, and it requires GPT plus to access it. So I hadn't looked at it either, and I thought, okay, I'll quickly spin it up. And the one I've done, I did it as a public share, and the public share still requires you to log in and have GPT plus. So at the moment there's no public forum for this. It's an internal tool, or to people that already have GPT plus as a paid platform, so it's about $20 a month or something, so not even kind of signed up like you'd sign up to WhatsApp for a free account. It's beyond that at the moment, so the little limitation with that really, but I think it's a very, very useful tool to start designing something you might do publicly and you might use publicly, because this is what we want. A good briefing tool for the likes of us, so we would go, okay, this is what you wanted to answer. This is the kind of stuff you're looking at, and this is the data you've got available to us, that you can WYSIWYG it up and see how you get on. So very, very useful. A very powerful piece of kit. As far as GPT or OpenAI themselves, they've also just reduced all their pricing as well.
So as part of the
that was a bit of a barrier.
GPT-4 and GPT 3. And also updated the data as well. So rather than being September 2021, it's April 23. So it's a much more up-to-date data set that they're working from, which obviously a massive help. I mean, ultimately you can plug it into the internet now anyway, but having a much larger data set or data pool to work from obviously increases the opportunities, increases kind of the accuracy of hopefully what you're going to be getting out of it.
Yeah, very much so. It's look, the customized version of this that we've been playing with is that we have own fine-tuned data. So you have, you put your own data in the set, and that's what you would get back, and it's be about that data and that information. And that's kind of the work that we've been doing with the GPT side of things. Because again, for those, it's difficult to know who's listening and who's interested in this, but the ChatGPT is the application. That is the application. That's OpenAI's chat application. But the large language model is the stuff that we're using, like the 3.5 and 4. Those are large language models that understand stuff. They're not looking at any knowledge base necessarily, just understanding. And that's the bit, the power that they have. So then when it's pointed to your own data, it has hugely powerful understanding. And those and that's what we've been leveraging. But we've actually been doing a blended version, which was both internet and your own stuff. So the focus is around your own content, but it still reaches out to the internet. And as you say, the internet, the ingestion of the internet from GPT is much bigger now, and much more recent. So they, you can see that they're going to carry on keeping that as recent as possible. And that means then you've got really powerful tools outside, which are image banks and different kind of things like that species thing that I asked it to go. Yeah, what is it? It's a yellow crab. Oh, okay. No, I know. And like you said, I could probably ask it to give me the images for it. Can you give me a picture for that?
Yeah.
And
I think you can be a little bit careful with regards to whether or not because it's going to dynamically generate those images. So whether you'll get a crab that is yellow or whether you'll get the specific, how close you'll
I
get
don't
to
know
the
that it's
specific
generating.
species.
I don't think so. I think it would be generating the. No, I think it'll pull an image back from the internet based on that species. That's my feeling. So yeah. Look, this is only just released. There's certain things that it would be interesting to find out, but certainly it recognised images that I sent it up, for the Medicare thing. So it was pulling on its data bank of what that is, or that possibly is. It looks like you're suffering from psoriasis. So I did it as a patient, and that worked really well from that perspective. I haven't tried to bring back an image based on that, but I don't think it'll generate the image. I think it'll go and get one from the library.
Probably depends on because I think you can set it to use DALL-E, can't you? And I guess if you don't want it to generate it, then you just don't tell it to utilize or plug in DALL-E as a mechanism for
No, that's right.
content,
So again, various options in there, so you can do that. Again, for something like that, the medical one, or even the specific species one, you probably wouldn't want the DALL-E stuff in there. It's not relevant. You're not trying to generate it. You want to understand an image. Whether DALL-E is doing that or not, I think DALL-E is just a creation tool, so I don't think it's doing that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting is that there's lots of opportunities here. I mean, there's also the GPTs that you can't find via their Explorer as well. So I've done a search and I managed to find the one for Canva. So yes. Canva have one you can use, and you can basically get it to create designs and assets straight in ChatGPT. So there's probably going to be those different providers and different companies that will be utilizing this as a platform to create stuff, or platform to be able to create these elements that you can then utilize, and they use as additional revenue generator for them. So I think there's interesting opportunities. It is new. I think there's an awful lot of startups that are panicking at the moment because of the launch of this. So there's lots of AI startups that are specifically set up to be able to create these types of tools and interfaces into OpenAI. And suddenly with them launching this kind of GPT builder, they're going, that was our business. Like, what are we going to do? Like, even if it's storing your own prompts or anything like that, there's lots of startups suddenly in a situation where they're not going to have a business. Their business to some extent isn't going to exist because this tool kind of encompasses it all the things they were looking to do. But that's the nature of the beast with this stuff. It moves so quickly. Like we're talking about the fact this was November last year. We're 12 months on from
we're in November this year.
We're 12 months on from getting public access, and we're now going from being able to type in and get a response to actually building our own mechanisms for kind of getting that information or the specific information that we need. So it's an exciting time, I think, in regards to the platform. It's really smart in regards to the way it moves for them in regards to building an audience and potentially generating additional revenue. I think there's lots of opportunities for businesses to build their own internal tools for streamlining the way they're working, which otherwise would be really difficult to do. But again, you're right, being able to create these interesting interfaces for the public as well, to be able to access and analyze data could be quite interesting. I do think that payment barrier to entry might be a challenge for some. So it might be a case that you kind of rely, because ultimately they're going to have to pay for the power using it that's used in it. So whether or not they might in future allow you to be able to upload it and have it as a free tool, I don't know.
I think
But someone's
I
got to
still
sort of pay
think
for
there
it.
might be a I think there might still be a payment walk there because look, at the moment for the AI chip area, the chips are so scarce. To get chip power in cloud environments for AI is really tricky. You know, everybody's a race to these things. There's a resource. There's a problem in the background. So all AI has got these super powerful chips that they can't get hold of. There are, you know, there's a big backlog of people demanding this stuff. All the businesses, like the big vendors, like Meta and everybody else, are all you know, champing at the bit to get the chip technology to make sure they've got enough resource and, you know, threads to do the computational stuff that's here, and that's expensive. So they OpenAI in their own right, I don't feel that they could do something without a paywall or a revenue stream of some sort. Because if you imagine that they did what they've done themselves and gone, right, you can do anything you like in there, and just because you pay $20 a month, but then you make it public to everybody else for your $20 a month would
Yeah, so
nowhere close, even at cost, cover their revenue stream. If you got, especially if you got a very popular one, you would just
yeah,
be absolutely inundated, and that would be, you know, huge. So you got any sort of influencer out there that created some sort of bot for themselves and then went, yeah, go and look at my thing, you know, and people didn't want to pay for it. That would be immensely expensive to get that volume of traffic through. Suddenly you've got a million people looking at it, you know,
yeah,
asking it questions. That's a lot of throughput. So I think the paywall, I can now understand the paywall, the reason for
yeah,
it. You know, it's a community that wants to use GPT for its use. So each seat is going to cost you $20. That's fine. If somebody's using it, they'll use $20 worth of stuff. That's all right. They're
yeah,
quids in that way around.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
just those things when people try and draw people in for those single use, like single platforms to utilize their individual ones, it then becomes a costing challenge, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Knowing, because we deployed bots, we
Yeah,
know how much they cost, you know,
yeah,
and all the big players at cost, you know, they're all significant monies to do certain things in as a, you know, corporate deployment. Whether it's Microsoft, who are OpenAI, their stuff is still costed. So this interface, I don't think there'll be in fact, it's quite interesting because I'm not sure there's going to be a commercial model for the bot in its own right, but a creation tool to get something out. But for a B2B business to their consumers model, I think they'd have to pay for it in a significant different manner. You know, like we do currently through OpenAI and pay for the API integrations. That's
yeah,
going to be a cost for each bit of data, even though we just mentioned that they reduced their costs. That's still not going to change. You know, that'll still be there. That's a massive revenue stream for them. So it'll be, how do they do that in this environment? Or are they playing with an interface so that eventually you can have an interface that is then a bot through OpenAI,
yeah,
but there is an overhead, you know, that you have to pay for to make it a commercially available public thing. You
yeah,
know, I think that's their next step, you know, which is then the risk to the startups.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think opportunities abundance, isn't it, at the moment? I think the barrier to entry, reduction, the barrier to entry they've created with this tool is going to be really interesting. I think the next few weeks are probably going to be the most important in regards to just seeing how people use this, how people go about trying to market it, share it, but also what sort of things people are going to start building with it is going to be really interesting to see. So hopefully
Yeah.
whoever's listening to this is going to start taking the opportunity to look and experiment, and maybe drop us a message to tell us
Yeah. No,
how
you
you're
can
using it.
comment on the you comment on the podcast. So, you know, go for it. And you know, and it would be great to see what ideas are out there, what people are doing, you know,
Yeah,
or on any of our socials or on anything like that. But Yeah, it's an easy entry point for people to play with GPT and actually see what the power of it is. That's what I particularly like, is that it's a really powerful demonstration of GPT when you personalized it for yourself, which is an area we do now significantly for people, and it's not going to put us out of business because we're integrators and we do all the UIs and stuff like that to go with it, but it's going to be it's going to be actually a really good marketing tool for our stuff, in that regard. I think it's people should be using this and looking at it in different and innovative ways. It's all out there. It's really, really very cool. So very excited about it.
So I think that's the call, isn't it? Everybody, if you're listening, go out there and play with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff £20 a month at GPT and have a play with it. It's not that bad.
Really, shouldn't we?
Oh yeah, the commission. Yeah, follow this link. Follow this link. Damn it, we could have affiliate revenue for all the many thousands and thousands of people that listen to our podcast. Yeah. Don't laugh, Gavin. Don't laugh. Yeah, we're getting there. There's a few people that don't mind us droning on.
We'll see how we get on, but brilliant. I think that's it. I think Marissa really covered some really valid points. A bit of meandering conversation through the world of GPTs. I think that's the thing. It's fresh for us. We wanted to come at this raw, didn't we? Come straight in, we experiment over a weekend, have a play, learn a little bit about it, and come in and just share our thoughts as we see it straight from the conversation. So hope everybody's enjoyed it. Make sure you follow us and subscribe to us and check out the other podcasts that we've launched over the last year. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked about GPT and others, so yeah, check them out and see how you go. But love to hear from you anyway. Thanks very much, Gavin.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. See you later. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening to the Self-Service Generation podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. Look out for more in the series where we take deep dives around specific challenges in this space. Until next time.